nominees will now give their presentations. I've asked our candidates to limit their remarks to 10 minutes each, with Q&A period following. So, starting in alphabetical order, Norm Beauchamp, Professor of Radiology in the School of Medicine.
Well, thank you very much. To be honest with you, I haven't run for anything since 8th grade. That didn't go that well, so I thought what I'd try to do is 3 things. Just tell you who I am, some of the things that I've done that might be relevant to how I could bring value to all of you, and then some of the things that I would be passionate about trying to contribute to, okay? And keep that under 10 minutes. So by way of background, I'm a professor of radiology and neurologic surgery, as well as industrial and systems engineering. I've been chair of the Department of Radiology here since 2002. It's a large department complex. We have 137 faculty. 98 of those faculty are clinician educators or physician scientists practicing across 5 campuses. We have 39 PhD faculty, so chemists, physicists, engineers, psychologists, a few nursing faculty, some economists, and even a lawyer. So when you think about that, it's a diverse faculty, so it's given me an opportunity to be exposed to, I think, some of the issues that the faculty would wrestle with. We have greater than 100 postgraduate trainees as well, so lots of students. I've also served as president of the practice plan here at the University of Washington, so that's the 1,600 physicians in the School of Medicine. It's $1 billion annual budget, so it's given me some sense about finance, and maybe if we're able to pass the salary policy, which I'm confident we will, thinking about then how do we operationalize it, I may be able to bring some value to that. I've also had the pleasure to sit and represent UW-Medicine on actually University of Washington, on the Washington Biotech and Biomedical Association, and that committee's job is really to help connect us to the community. So I think that's relevant background. And then I've had a chance to serve the Faculty Senate in a number of ways. I sat where you sat 10 years ago and 9 years ago, and then I was on the Faculty Senate Chair's Cabinet, and now I'm on the Faculty Senate's Research Council. Some of the things I saw when I did that was that shared governance is really important, and that a lot of the issues that we're wrestling with, I felt I could bring value to. That's what I've done. That's not who I am. What I'd like to do is share who I am. I think the best way to say it is we live in a world that struggles. I think it struggles more than it needs to. I think everybody here, and myself personally, we have a responsibility to do all we can to give back to lessen those struggles. That's how I've lived my life. That's how I've spent my time here. And I now feel like perhaps I could bring value to this group because I feel that our faculty is struggling. You know, we're doing well, we're working hard, but it's getting tougher. So I'd like to help lessen that. So that is my initial comments related to that. In 2002, that philosophy is what brought me here. We had a good department of radiology. It wasn't a great department of radiology. Why wasn't it a great department of radiology? It was because the environment wasn't conducive to the faculty being able to accomplish their goals. They had a salary policy that was not transparent. It wasn't equitable, and that needed to be addressed. We didn't have a good policy for faculty in terms of appointments and promotions and how people advanced, so that if they committed their careers to the University of Washington, we couldn't be sure that people doing their best work would advance. We didn't have a good IP approach in our department, so we couldn't partner with industry, which is really important in terms of giving the faculty opportunities to make a difference. I will tell you, looking back now, we're 10 years in, the things that I hoped we could do, we've been able to do. The other things that we've been able to do is to connect to the community and to connect to the many strengths on Upper Campus. It's very important that I emphasize that that success has not been due to me, but really due to shared governance. The most important thing we're able to do is to mobilize the voices in the department, find the best answers, and bring them together and put them in place. And so really shared governance has been transformational to our department. And I think hopefully if my faculty were here, they would say we're close to great because we feel that we're able to reach our goals aligned with our potential and we feel supported. And I think that's something that I would like to try to bring here. I'd like to give you 2 examples of what I think is important in terms of how to interface with leadership, because I think that's important. The first example is when I arrived here in 2002. What made me excited about coming here is there were some models in Hopkins I wanted to bring. One of the models was we in radiology would set up like an advanced imaging system, and we would be able to get neuroscientists from across the university to come, pose difficult questions, and together we would answer them, which would then help drive our development and their address of questions. However, 3 weeks in, I found out the Department of Psychology was about to deploy their own MR scanner. I thought, well, that's going to be a challenge, because now they'll do great work, we'll do great work, but we won't leverage the strengths of the University of Washington, and that's really the key here. So I moseyed up to Upper Campus, I knocked on the door of the chair of psychology, and I said, I'm Norm Beauchamp, I'm new here, I'd like to know, what are you guys' plans and can we align efforts? And I said, so why are you deploying a 3 Tesla scanner? And the response was, well, one of my faculty got a grant. And I said, well, that's great. I said, but maybe we could do better together. I don't think that's the answer. I paraphrased a little bit. And I said, so what's the right answer? And then the comment was, well, they have some unique neuroscience initiatives. And I said, well, we could do it better together. I don't think that's the answer. And then the response was, well, listen, you're new here. I don't want to offend you. The issue is radiology wants all the credit and all the control. I said, that's the answer, right? I then said, mea culpa, and the person said, you don't need to apologize. We just need to go forward with a shared governance model where we work together. That person was the provost. And what I'll tell you is that it has come, not then Anamari was the chair of psychology. And the point was, and I think what made it work, was with honesty, candor, and trust, you can overcome anything. And I'm really proud of what's come together, but it really took us pushing each other. The other, and I think the person in this role being able to communicate effectively up, if you will, is really important. One other example, quickly, is we had a horrible event happen in my department about 3 years ago, where one of my faculty members committed suicide. And I remember at the funeral, his father, Max, who was 90, grabbed my hand and said, Norm, you have to do something about this. And I said, okay, so I read about it. I had to learn about it. I didn't know much about suicide, to be honest with you. And what I found was that during the course of a faculty career, about 1/3 run into what's called burnout, and it predisposes to suicide. So we had a meeting of all the chairs and the dean, and I raised my hand because I committed to Max that I would do something. And the dean said, what's the issue? And I said, we have to do more for people with burnout. And he very thoughtfully said, it's an important issue, we're doing a lot. So I left that meeting disappointed, and I got 2 more chairs, and we went back the next week. Same meeting, I raised my hand, and then the other chairs commented, and we had a really good discussion. And again, the dean thoughtfully said, it's important, but we're doing a lot. A month later, I raised my hand again, same issue, we need to do more, but now I had 2 more chairs and 2 non-chairs. And the dean then said, you're not going to go away with this, are you? And I said, no, sir. And he laughed. And essentially the comment was, if it's that important to you, then we need to put together a task force about how we can support people. You'll co-chair it, right? Co-chaired it, and I'm really happy to say that he then made that one of his top 2 initiatives. How do we take better care of the faculty? And I think that's a really important issue. So those are just another example of, if it matters enough, you have to persist and find other people who care. And that's one of the things that I would bring to this effort. So what are the 3 things I would be passionate about trying to advance? First, the salary policy, right? I think it's really important. You're getting it close to the crossing line. Kate's going to take it and run with it. I think we have to address the issues of compression and salary inequity, and I think we'll get there. So I want to help with that. I think IP is a huge opportunity, and I think I bring some skills in that. I think if we're going to advance the discoveries we have, both in teaching and in science, we have to partner better and extend those, and then have revenues that come back to support our faculty. And the third and fourth, if you will, for me, is better connecting the strengths in South Campus with Upper Campus. I think together we can be a lot more competitive against trying to get more grants in a difficult funding environment. And I also think together we could bring more value to the community. And if we're going to get the funding that we need, we have to show greater value to the community. And a lot of what I've been able to do in radiology the last 10 years is try to, again, connect to the campus and connect to the community. So in summary, the world struggles. I want to help. I'd like to try to help. Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions for Norm? Dwayne.
Dwayne Sorty from Engineering. I guess I have 2 questions. The first one is, do you expect to continue as department chair, I assume, and how do you see that as a feasible time load?
That is a great question. So when I got here as chair, 2 years in, the dean asked me to run the practice plan, which was probably a .8 job, and I was still learning how to run the department. So I did that, plus I ran the practice plan. At the same time, our director at Harborview left, which was a .5 job, and I did that job. I think the point is, if you're passionate enough, you can do a lot. But what I will tell you is this about that. I've now been doing this 12 years. One of the things that's very important to me is leadership development. I have a phenomenal team of leaders in place, and I've talked with them, and they have the capacity really to keep the department running well, so that for 3 years I could put my attention here to these important efforts. So I'm 100% confident, but I do think it would be valuable to my work in the Senate to still have that role as chair, both being able to support initiatives and, I don't know, connect up and down.
And then this is a little off track maybe, but on the burnout issue, we all deal not only with those issues ourselves, but students who are facing those issues. And I'm wondering if you're aware of the Forefront nonprofit, which has been started recently, affiliated with the UW, for training on suicide prevention through the School of Social Work. And I would just like everybody to be aware of that.
No, I was not aware of that, and I think we can't have enough efforts to help with that. It's a big issue, and we see with physicians a bimodal peak early when they get out and later in their career, and we also see it frequently in medical students. What was striking to me is once we started this and we're trying to garner support, so many people had personal stories of loss of folk. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Norm.